Watch Transit TV right now.
Biar mo doon ang ultimate comentario uno. Keep watching Transit TV and stay removed for premium content. Otra vez, adios.
I don't know which.
No. Daxon's body was ahead of. The position he was at. It seemed like the upper part of his body was ahead of his leg because he was already running. But then, the Ibrahima Konate.
Transit TV, welcome back to the studio on our what we call controversial decision show or referees decision show. I know, football or soccer, wherever, depending on where you are. I'm in America, they call it soccer. Here in Europe and Africa is football. It's an emotion-packed sports, and a lot of times emotions can take over fans and people when they watch it, depending on what interest you have in the game going on. And sometimes we tend to disagree with decisions made during these games. Okay, here my brother is a FIFA and tough graded referee in Nigeria. So we had to put together this show to try to explain to you sometimes some of the thinkings of the referees and what they look at when they make some of these decisions. And this weekend, we had loads of them, about 2, 3 or 4 very, let me not say controversial, but key decisions in games that a lot of people probably would have disagreed on the decision that the referees made. And he is going to try to explain to us what the thinkings of these referees where as these events occurred in the games. The first one, of course, is going to be William Saliba sent off against Bournemouth. I don't know what do you make of if there are any fans out there who felt that decision, yes, was a foul, but was not a red card. Can you help them understand better why the decision was taken, or if you do not agree with that decision, why you don't?
Okay. First of all, I want to, describe the situation a bit before I go ahead to say what I think about the red card that was meted out there. Now, there was what was supposed to be a back pass from Leandro Trossard, and then Evan Nielsen, who initially was in an offside position, but because it was a bad pass, he was now played onside, and Evan Nielsen had the goal, that to run at. And Saliba trying to catch up with him, had to bring him down because, there was no other option. If you look at it, somehow it would look like, it was a collision, but be it as it may, Evan Nielsen was ahead of him and he brought him down. Now, in refereeing, this is what we call DOGSO. DOGSO, that's disrupting an obvious goal scoring opportunity. That's what we call it, DOGSO, disrupting an obvious goal scoring opportunity. Now, Evan Nielsen was ahead of all the Arsenal defenders, and he had the goal to run at. But then we look at the proximity of the ball and the post. Now he was almost at the center of the pitch, so he still has a long way to go before getting to the post. And getting on the ball, there was a good chance the Arsenal defenders will catch up with him. So now, while I was watching that game yesterday, there was also Ben White who was, still chasing the ball, and there was a good chance all of them will catch up with him. And then that ball was still in the air, so you cannot say 100% that the ball was in possession of the Bournemouth player, Evan Nielsen. So I would put it on a 70% to 30%. Evan Nielsen had 70% of the ball possession, while whichever Arsenal player that catches up next would have about 30% of the ball. Because I am giving Evan Nielsen the 70% because he was ahead. You get? So now, Evan Nielsen was not yet in the control of the game, in the control of the ball. Yeah. So I was watching the game, and once that incident happened, I said, this is a yellow card. First, because he's so far off from the goalpost. They are so far off from the goalpost. And then secondly, William Saliba was quite close to him, so there is a chance Saliba will meet up. And then the referee immediately showed the yellow card. And then there was a call from the VAR to go and review it. And knowing fully well this season that the VAR has already been, advised not to interfere in on-field decisions unless it is a clear and obvious error. So when that one happened, I knew it was going to be turned to a red card. I knew. Because anything that makes the referee go to the monitor right now, he will change his mind.
Exactly.
Because the man in the room had already seen it and said, oh, bro, you need to look at this thing again. I think you took the wrong decision. So it will only take a brave referee to go to the monitor right now and still maintain his decision. So when the referee went and changed it to a red card, I was surprised how they came up with a red card. But then I was not so surprised because, they had gone to the monitor, and whatever be the reason they decided to change it to a red card, it has to be a red card. But now that also made me take another look at the situations, and I was like, okay, Evanescence was ahead. David Raya was not so well positioned. And then Gabriel, what's his name again? Benjamin White was not so much in a good place to catch up as well. So you could say Evanescence had an easy run at goal. But that's still notwithstanding, I would have loved that to be a yellow card. Now, these are the situations where referee has to take his discretion. It is not so much stated that at this particular point in time that it must be a red card, because there are so many things to look out for. The distance to the goal, the number of defenders running at him, and then who is in control of the ball. And the trajectory of the ball. Is the ball running directly at goal, or is it running to throw in, or, you understand everything I mean? These are all the things that the referees look at before they met out these cards.
Exactly.
So if the VAR had looked at that one and said, okay, after giving the yellow card, we have now come to look at this and we think it is not supposed to be a yellow card, it should be a red card, then no problem, it is a red card, because they have gotten all of these things and they've checked the distance from goal, and even though it is quite far from the goal, but then there was no defender very close to him, and then he was ahead of all of them, so obviously he was always going to get to the ball before William Saliba and Ben White. But then the only problem I have with the Premier League and its officiating is the consistency. Okay, not consistency, actually, inconsistency. Maybe I can say they are consistently inconsistent.
Yes.
So that probably that's the best way to put it. So I wouldn't jump into the other situation that happened that looked like a similar one, and a different decision was taken. Maybe when we get there, we'll now link the both of them together. But I think the William Saliba seeing a red card there. It was a red card, and the referee can actually defend it that it is a red card. But even if the referee had shown the yellow card, he could still defend it. This is a situation where the referee can show a yellow card, and at the same time he can show a red card and defend the boot. And then somehow that makes the laws of the game look like it's flawed. That makes it look like it's flawed. But good decision from the referees. Red card it is. But then eventually we saw another game today. Same situation, different card color.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to get to that, like you mentioned. And that takes us to the next game, City against Wolves.
Yeah.
The City goal, Bernardo Silva.
Okay.
The referee cancelled the goal. The referee gave the goal. VAR called him to look at it again. It looks like Bernardo Silva was obstructing the view of the goalkeeper, and the referee went to the VAR screen and still upheld his decision that it was a goal. What did you make of that decision?
I think great call from the referee. Yes, Bernardo Silva was in an offside position, and he knew exactly what he was doing. Now, let me start from making us understand offsides and how these offside calls work. There are three kinds of offside: offside interfering with play, offside interfering with an opponent, and offside gaining advantage. So, offside interfering with play is when you basically receive the pass from your teammates and while being in an offside position. And then offside interfering with an opponent is when you are in an offside position and you are interfering with your opponent who is trying to play the game. And an offside gaining advantage is basically when you are in an offside position and then you get the ball from a rebound or from a deliberate save while being in an offside position. Now, what Bernardo Silva did there was a case of offside interfering with an opponent, but then it was not so much of an interference because it was a battle between him and the goalkeeper when the corner was about to be taken. And the moment the corner kick was taken, he moved away from the goalkeeper and bent down. So apparently, the goalkeeper was very much sighted of what was happening. He saw everything that was happening. It was not there was not so much of an impact, from Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva didn't stop him from jumping or stop him from stretching his hand, and Bernardo Silva didn't stop him from seeing. So the goalkeeper was very much aware of what was happening. And at the end of the day, players will always, it's a contact sport. So players will always, have contact with each other. We also saw, I think it's a new tactic that players have started using now before corner kicks.
I think at that Arsenal have taught them.
Yes, against Man City. Against Man City, Arsenal did the same thing and the goal stood. So when it happened today, in the game between Man City and Wolves, I just knew the goal was going to stand because it's a new tactics that teams have learned. Try to distract the goalkeeper before the corner kick, and eventually the corner kick goes in. And once the corner kick is taken, you move away from the goalkeeper, and you see that the goal stands. So the goalkeepers might actually think that they're not being protected enough anymore, but it's part of the game, and the game keeps, it's revolutionary.
I agree with you. Rival fan, I want to see to lose the game, of course, but I saw when they cancelled it, I said, they cancelled it. But once I saw that the view, I told my team that I was watching the game with, I said, Bernardo Silva is, for me, one of the most intelligent footballers in EPL. Like you said, he understood the rules and he knew what he was doing. And he knew that he could duck. He had done his job by deciding the goalkeeper. But the goalkeeper still had him in mind. Yes, so once the ball was played and he saw the nothing coming, he just ducked. And the keeper, of course, like you mentioned, had a very good view of the ball, of the flight. And the only thing that made him stop him from saving that ball was the distance between where the ball was coming and where he was. So before he could react, the ball was already in the net. So I think it was a very good, correct decision by the referee. And I agree with what you said. So let's move to Chelsea and Liverpool. The Salah penalty. Was it a penalty? The first one, the first goal.
Okay, penalty or no penalty, these kind of discussions would always come up in the game of football, especially to us who are referees. And I've gotten lots of questions from my friends and colleagues as well. Was that a penalty? I would say yes, it was a penalty, but yes, soft one, but a penalty. There was contact between Levi Colwill and Curtis Jones. There was contact. Colwill trying to play the ball. He actually played the foot of Curtis Jones' ball. He was celebrating, and next minute the referee's whistle had gone, and he was surprised. But he actually knew he had played the leg of the Liverpool player because the replays showed that he had actually caught the leg of the Liverpool player. But that's, you talk about that one, talking about the Chelsea game and the penalty that was awarded to Liverpool. And then, it just brings us back to the consistently inconsistent decisions that the referees take in the Premier League. And probably we'll get to that other one because we also saw another challenge at the other end of the pitch in that game, and that one was not good. So, we begin to ask, okay, if this is what it is for Mr. A, why not be the same for Mr. B? That's exactly the argument. So, but then, if it was a penalty, yes, I will go ahead to say it was a penalty.
And like you mentioned, of course, there was another goal, the Chelsea goal.
Okay.
Was that an offside or was it a goal? The Jackson's goal.
It was reviewed. It was reviewed by.
It was reviewed, but still, because sometimes they do these things too fast. I looked at that goal and I thought that it was an offside, and I was wondering why they looked at it and still said it was a goal. I don't
Yeah,
know what you saw.
it was a good goal. It was a good goal. Virgil van Dijk had played a brilliant offside trap there, and I mean, if it was just Virgil van Dijk, Nico Jackson would have been offside. But then Ibrahima Konate trying to, I don't know what he was doing, but I think he was just prepping himself to get ready to run in case the offside is not given. Then he let his left foot be ahead of Jackson. And if you look at the review, you will see that it was Ibrahima Konate's left foot that put Jackson onside there. So from Van Dijk's point of view, it was an offside, but then there was another Liverpool defender who was Konate who played him on. So it was a good call there as well. If you notice, after the goal was scored, the assistant referee picked the offside, but then they had to do the VAR review to actually see that it was not offside and the goal was given. So I'll say it was
I believe it was, I mean, like you said, it was reviewed. You know, these days, sometimes they will tell us, even if it's a finger, is offside. And sometimes they come again, they say the whole body. I don't even know what the rules. I don't even know what the rules are anymore. So that's why we have you on these shows to explain to us, because I saw that Jackson's body was offside, but like you mentioned, his legs were onside. So I don't know which.
No. Jackson's body was ahead of. I mean, the position he was at. It seemed like the upper part of his body was ahead of his leg because he was already running. But then the Ibrahima Konate, the Liverpool centre back, had his left foot outstretched, and that left foot was what played Jackson on. I mean, the lines were drawn, and you could see from the lines that his left foot was actually ahead of Nico Jackson. And then talking about, this is just a little bit of a disclaimer. You cannot actually be in an offside with your hand. You can't.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I'm saying, because there have been instances where they have measured even millimeters. So I don't know what the rules are, which is one of the reasons why we have this show.
The only part of the hand that can actually put you in an offside position is your shoulders. That's from the armpit level up to your shoulders, because it is part of the game now. You can play with from the armpit level to the shoulder, but then from the armpit level down, it's not part of the game. So any part of the body that you cannot play the game with cannot be judged to be in an offside position.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so our viewers, you've heard that this is why we have Care on this show. And please, in the comment section, if you have more questions with regards to decisions made in games, we might not be able to capture all of them on this show. Put them in the comment section and we'll revisit them in the next show. You mentioned about another incident. I can't remember what the player it was. I know there was going to be a counter on Liverpool.
It was Jadon Sancho and Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Yes.
So that situation, Jadon Sancho was in possession of the ball in the penalty box and, trying to get away from his marker. He caught the ball back and Trent, trying to get the ball off him, so somehow caught his foot. Yes. Arnold's foot landed on Sancho's foot and he went down. There was no review. I think there was no review, but the referee waved it off. And I mean, just like the penalty that was given to Liverpool was a soft one, but it was a penalty because there was contact. Mm-hmm. So, I expected that other one to still be a penalty because there was contact. And if you are going to go with the argument that it was a soft touch, was it a touch at all? Did the touch have an impact on the player? The answer is yes. And if you are going to go with that one, then, I mean, if you have given the other one, you have to give the other one. So it's the consistency that we are actually asking for. And, there is no place in the laws of the game where it is said that you actually can give one and cannot give the other. If you're going to give one, you have to give it all. That's exactly what it should have been. I mean, it should have been a penalty for Chelsea, a penalty for Liverpool as well. So the two penalties, I think the one for Liverpool, correct. The one for Chelsea, incorrect. Should have been two penalties.
There was another incident, I think it was in the same game. There was a counter on Liverpool as well, just like the Saliba incident. That I think was Canute on, can't remember who the player was.
It was Diogo Jota attacking the Chelsea post, and it was Tosin.
Exactly. And he was brought down. There was no yellow card. There was no,
There was a yellow card. It was a yellow card.
A yellow card, exactly. There was no red card.
So, just like what I said earlier, that particular kind of incident, you have to judge a lot of things: the flight of the ball, the defenders who could catch up, and then the distance from where the incident happened, between the distance between where the incident happened and the goalpost that is being attacked. Now, the thing happened at the midfield, just at the center of the pitch, almost the same place that of William Saliba happened.
Exactly.
Almost the same place. So now, the question is, if William Saliba saw a red card because of this, why is Tosin not seeing a red card because of it as well? So I would actually say that, just like I mentioned earlier, it is a situation where if you show the yellow card, you can defend it. If you show the red card, you can defend it as well. So it all boils down to the referee's discretion.
Interpretation.
So, yes, the referee's discretion, because you look at the distance from goal, you look at which the players involved, how many defenders who are running at the attacking player, and then how many, and then the chances of the player getting the ball and not being caught up with. So you look at all of these things, and it was exactly the same reason I thought that William Saliba's incident should have been a yellow card.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Sorry to call you short right there. So can this be like put into like a law? But it's okay if this incident happens within the center circle, very close to the center of the pitch, and if give some perimeter to it so that it guides. Yeah, the referee on pitch might not have all this in his head as these incidents occur. Once he goes to VAR should be able to consider those letters and say, hey, I know sometimes he can do this, but based on what the law says, this incident happened here and it happened here and it happened this we are in place. I think it should be a yellow card, than to leave it to the discretion of the referee. Like you mentioned, if you give a yellow card, in one hand, you're correct. If you give a red card, you're wrong. So now, players or teams that were affected by the field decision will think is against them, as against having some perimeters to it.
Okay, there is something, we have 17 laws of the game. And I would always tell my friends that, we have 17 laws of the game, but there's one I will always add to it. I will make it 18, and the 18th one is football understanding. Football understanding, because a referee should be able to understand football, understand players' gimmicks, because sometimes you see players do things just to see if they can get to see if they can deceive the referee.
Yes.
Now,
you're right. I remember when I used to run my academy, I used to tell my players, use the first 5 minutes of the game or 10 minutes of the game to understand the kind of referee you're playing you're playing with. Some referees like contact. Some referees don't like a minimal contact. So if you see that this referee doesn't give fouls easily, then it can be a little bit hard on your opponent, and the referee will not call it. There are some referees that any little contact they will call. So yeah, I think I understand what you mean by that.
So football understanding would have actually played a very huge role in this thing. And I think it did play. It just goes on to show, how the difference between the two referees, that the one that handled the Liverpool Chelsea game, and the one that handled the Bournemouth Arsenal game. But like I mentioned earlier, there is something called DOXO, disrupting an obvious goal scoring opportunity. And the DOXO rules are very well specified in the laws of the game. But one thing that the laws of the game did not capture, and I would go ahead to say cannot capture, is scenarios, how
it will play out. Yeah. K has the issue with his internet right there. I hope he comes back, because this is an interesting conversation we're having right here.
Would happen in the game. Going far, how many defenders that are running at the attacking player, and the direction of the ball and all of that. But then some things it cannot mention is where it happens and how it happens. So this is where the referee's football understanding comes into play. Then you begin to as a referee, you try to judge if this player, even if he was in the possession of the game, could he have easily scored without the defenders interfering? So I think the better interpretation would have been a yellow card for the both of them.
Okay.
But if we are talking about being consistent, if we are talking about being consistent, the consistency should have been, since you gave the red card yesterday, this one that happened today should have been a red card.
Okay, so let me say something right there. Talking about consistency, of course, these are different referees that officiate these games. And like you said, it's understanding of the game. Is there no way the Referees Association can do something like the Bournemouth Arsenal game was played yesterday? That decision was taken. Is there no way somebody can clip that incident and at least maybe flash it, send it to the referees that are officiating the next day's game? It doesn't take, with technology these days, it doesn't take 10 minutes to get clips of those things and share so that, so that other referees will make consistent decisions on those things. And over time, everybody will be on the same page, as against leaving it to referees are different to decide what they do. And, it raises all this eyebrow all over the place.
I understand you perfectly. And I must tell you that even within our own referee groups down here, we've shared these clips, and even the one that happened yesterday was a topic of discussion amongst ourselves. And I mean, but you never can tell when next these things will happen, and there was no way to tell that since it happened yesterday was a similar situation would come up again today.
No, but if that was done yesterday, at least the people that are in the VAR room will have time to remember, or to at least assess it and look at it. It's okay. Not because they agree, but for the fact that yesterday, the same incident happened and PGMOL upheld that decision through VAR and everything. Then today it happens, you say, yeah, this same incident happened yesterday. Because you and I remembered. What can they remember?
Everything we are saying here, I am only analyzing according to what the laws of the game say.
Yeah.
And, according to my experience as a referee. Now, like I mentioned, I think the ideal situation should have been the both of them a yellow card.
Exactly.
How about they realized they made a mistake yesterday and decided to take the right call, the right decision today? I mean, there is no way.
Yeah. I mean, that's why we have you on this show. That's why we have you on this show, because we on this side we think like fans. So you as a referee, you try to explain to us, because some people have also said that the referee sometimes should be explaining to the fans and the players while certain decisions are taken, so that at least they have an understanding, like what you're saying now. If I don't agree, but at least I have an understanding how referees see these incidences and begin to kind of understand.
Just like you mentioned, the incident, the clips being shared. There's a good chance the clips was shared amongst the referees, and I mean, it's happened again today. And because they found out it was a mistake yesterday, they decided to take the right decision today.
Okay, thank you very much. Like as I said, our viewers, I know there are some of them probably would have captured. Going forward, as you watch your game, send in. You have all our social media handles at the Transit TV, on Facebook, Instagram. As the games are going on, send in your concerns in officiating. Kay will always be here every week on this show to try to help us understand the thinking, and at least he has an unbiased thinking towards these things. I know we as fans, our emotions sometimes don't let us to see this in an objective manner. So we're going to be having this show every week for him to come in here. Uguma as well is a referee. When he has time, he will join us as well to explain some of these decisions. But the reason why I don't want to bring Ugumi is, especially when he affects Arsenal, a lot of people are going to think because he's an Arsenal fan, that's why he's saying what he's saying. So at least we have a K here every week. So let us know what you think. Do you agree with his explanation on some of these incidences? And we'll go home again next week, and hopefully we don't have any more incidents. But I mean, EPL has been giving us this every week. There will always be incidents. So we'll see you guys again next week. Okay, thank you for the time. I know it's late in Nigeria and now you're about to go to bed. Please, thank you for stopping by and giving us this perspective on these issues. And we'll see you again next week. Ciao.